some signs that you might be experiencing trauma bonding in your job. First one, feeling like you've been through so much on this particular job that you can't just throw away the history you have with it. So basically putting up with whatever you're going to put up with because I've already invested so much time in this. Yes.
I mean,
I
yeah,
feel like
absolutely. I've been at my job for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely put up with shit, but I've also, I've put up with shit at work, but I've also like accepted it, accepted that like, look, this is just the way it is. And it's helped me, it's helped me to be like, well, this is the way this goes and there's nothing I can do about it. So I just need to keep my head down and keep plugging away.
Yeah. They kind of build in this, a lot of companies build in this way to keep you hanging on and loyal, like the longer you work here, the more vacation hours you get, or,
yeah,
the more sick hours you get. So you put in all this time and you're like, well, crap, if I start over, I'm like back at the bottom rung somewhere. And like all of this shit I've built up over the past however many years is just fucking out the door.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the next one, criticism. You're always made to feel like your work isn't good enough.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. That's been par for the course. I feel like I don't know how this is trauma bonding. This is just shit that goes on at work. This, like made to feel like your work isn't good enough. But where is the bonding?
This is the things that your job does to you. This is the abuse. So these are the things that happen to you at work that can cause you to form a trauma bond.
Okay. I got you now. Sorry. Or I misunderstood you. But yes.
Yeah. Like I mean, sometimes I think I've experienced where, you've done a decent job, but you work with people that can't, just for whatever fucking reason, can't tell you that because it somehow lessens them. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the reasoning and the psychology behind why they do it, but I've definitely experienced that where you're just like, okay, like I'm working my ass off and for what? Next is manipulation and gaslighting. Being told that if you do extra work, it will contribute to your career success. Not being briefed on important issues, but still expected to know what's going on. And if you complain, being told it's all in your mind and you're being difficult.
In a way, yeah. Yeah. I constantly battle with just like the information that is given to people at my level is very minimal, but yet we're just expected to go about our day the way we normally would. And, it's frustrating when they don't realize that, like, all this information, but you're not telling us. And then when we get frustrated, when we find out, you want to know why we're frustrated. And it's like, well, you knew all along that this was happening and you said nothing because it was a need to know basis. And it's like, well, we all work here, so we all need to know.
There have been many things that where my department is, I'm privy to information maybe before some of the rest of the masses, and the way that information is sat on for so long when the things are technically already supposed to be in place. And it's just like, well, the communication aspects, I mean, just the communication is bad, but also the fact how much people hold on to information there. It's just like, but why? If this decision has been made, just fucking tell everyone. And then you feel like an idiot when the thing comes out and you're like, oh, I was supposed to be doing it this way and like no one told me. Okay, cool. So next is resignation and giving up. So constantly saying you're going to quit, but never leaving out of fear that things will be worse with the new employer and your dependency on familiarity with your current coworkers and management. This is 100% me. 100%. I scroll through LinkedIn all the time looking for jobs, and I'm like, okay, this could be cool. I need to quit. I'm not happy where I am. It's driving me insane. But again, that starting over, right? Starting in at bottom of the rung in a new place after putting so many years, and then what if it's worse there? What if it's fucking worse? And then also the imposter syndrome creeps in, like, yeah, I'm qualified for this job, but oh my God, maybe I suck at everything and I'll be really bad at it and they'll hate me and they'll fire me and then I won't have any job.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a little different because if what I'm about to say doesn't show my trauma bonding, I don't know what will. I feel like this is the best job that I've ever had. And it scares me to look for another job and try to start from the bottom, because there's parts of me that say, like, I shouldn't even be at this job, like, I mean, and it's not just my pay because I've been there so long, because I've worked jobs before where I've made close to what I'm making now. And it took me less time to make that. But those were like commission-based jobs,
Yeah.
So it's not the pay. It's just the time that I put in. And also those jobs were like very labor intensive. I was working hard, sweating my ass off, like really beating myself up to do those jobs. And this,
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the air condition. I think I'm trauma bonded.
Yeah. So the next one is loss of self, feeling like you can't survive without your job. Your world literally revolves around your work 24/7, and you've become a workaholic. I definitely know people like this. I am not a workaholic.
Yeah, me either. I am not at all. When I clock out, I'm done with work.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like I can't survive without my job, insofar as I won't be able to buy food and pay rent, keep a roof over our heads and that kind of stuff, But it's not like I must work because I love it so much. That is never me. I do know people like that, though, and it's just like, damn.
I think the percentage of people who have that mentality where they have to work because they're workaholics, I think that's a pretty low percentage. I think most people have to work because they've got mouths to feed. They've got to keep a roof over their head. They've got to pay car insurance, car pay, the financial burden. Gains of working. Yeah, burden. That's better. Not gains, but the financial burdens of working is just, it's too much to think of not having that.
Yep. And then addiction to the cycle, feeling like this is the perfect job for you and throwing yourself into your work, then moments later, absolutely hating your employer. I get more of the second one. The first one. I feel like
repeat it. Sorry, I was getting bitten by a cat.
Feeling like this is the perfect job for you and throwing yourself into your work, then moments later, absolutely hating your employer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the second part, definitely.
Yeah.
I've never felt like I loved this job so much. Never. There were times when I was traveling because I had a really good time traveling, but I've never been like, I love this. I can't live without this.
I can throw myself into my work if it's a project that I enjoy, but at the same time, I'm like, but I hate my employer. All right. Poor boundaries. You're expected to go beyond your normal job duties, and if you refuse, you are labeled as disengaged, told that you lack motivation, and aren't seen as a team player. You receive calls after hours from your supervisor, and you are expected to answer.
The first part, yes. In my current position, when I started in this position, there was, you did this. And then they would constantly like, okay, now you need to do this on top of it. And now you need to do this on top of it. And now you need to do this on top of it. But like getting calls after work, no, I don't work at a place where that is feasible. Like it's not going to happen. I'm not high enough in the company to be in that sort of position. But I can guarantee that there are people that we work close with that do have to deal with that, where like when they go home, they're getting calls from people.
Yeah.
But I don't personally have to do that. But the workload that has been put on top of me has steadily increased with the just minute little stupid things I have to do that I didn't have to do a couple years ago. And then at the end of the year, it's like, well, we only have this much in the budget for everyone. And it's like, yeah, but you fucking increased our workload, Anyway.
Yeah, well, you just think about the way our stupid review ratings, I think they've changed them a little bit, but not really. And I know a lot of companies, because I've talked to people who have the same thing. You have to give yourself a 1 to 5 rating, and a 3 is basically you do your job, you show up and you do your job. A 4 is maybe you do a little bit extra, or no, actually a 4 is you do a lot extra. And then
Above
5
and
is you like
beyond.
change. 5 is you change
the company.
the way the company like fucking, you have to do some big goddamn thing. I'm like, who does that? Like maybe a few senior leadership people.
Yeah.
Why is this even a thing for us? If we show up every day, we do the job that we were hired to do, that should at least be a 4 right there. If you go a little bit above and beyond, a 5. Like, fuck you and your ratings. Like, it's just a way to make you feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah, I brought that up before.
And to work harder for the same amount of money.
Yeah, I've brought that up before, that it is so defeating for an employee to have to rate themselves, and your rating scale, the top of the rating scale, in 50% of what they're rating themselves on is unattainable. Like you are giving them goals that is unattainable. And that is so defeating for people, because there are people who really strive and work hard, and it doesn't matter what they do. They will never get the top of the heap with that. And I've been told before, well, that top of the heap is basically like it's one person in the whole company who does that. And it's like,
so why have it for everyone?
So why have it for everyone when it's the person who gets it, their title ends in an O? CFO, CEO, ITO, or, it's like, it's so defeating for people.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's it for some of the ways to tell if you might be trauma bonded. And so before we get into maybe some ways to break out of the cycle, so some of the steps that Dr. Carrie Yazid suggests to possibly breaking out of this cycle, I'm going to name the steps that she named, but I'm going to kind of paraphrase their explanations. So the first one, start by giving yourself permission to heal. So any type of abuse can leave a mark. Realize it's not your fault and that you deserve to feel good about yourself as an employee and within your profession. Definitely, like, however that looks for you. I think just the first step of recognizing I don't deserve to feel this way every day can go a long way. And it's whether it's changing your mindset and making it better for you, kind of stepping away mentally from things, or realizing that you are worth more and doing something to get the fuck out, or change somehow. Next is build a support system. So whether it's a therapist, friends, coworkers, anything like that, have people around you that support you in whatever way, shape, or form you need. So I know we mentioned that, like, some people kind of consider trauma bonding is building those bonds with their coworkers over the job situation. And if that's something that helps you get through your day, we had our work besties episode 2, where a lot of people were like, if it wasn't for my work bestie, I would have lost my mind by now. So shout out to B.
I don't really have a work bestie.
I'm sorry.
I'm fine with it.
You got Jake from State Farm next to you.
Yep.
You kind of isolate yourself at work.
I do. It's the way that I put my head down and just do the work. Luckily, I'm in a position where I don't have people answering to me, and I don't have to like really answer to people. I can just put my head down and do the work and then go home. And that goes back to like changing your mindset, because I'm outspoken. I'm very outspoken.
What?
Well, in some ways at work, I'm outspoken in a bad way. I used to be really bad, where I would just openly just bash what was going on. And now I don't. I save it. I save it for my review. When I have my review, and I don't bash the place, but I let them know, like, look, this is so easy to solve these problems, and you are the leadership. So you should understand that as a leader, there are small things you can do to solve some of these problems. And a lot of times I just get the, yeah, I know. And then it's the same old, it never changes. So I've kind of just I still bring that stuff up. Every single review I have, I still bring it up because I really feel that some of the points that I bring up can change things. And then I just go back to head down, do my work when I get work, and go home at the end of the day.
I mean, not everyone has that luxury, but like I said, do whatever it is that works for you to kind of get out of that cycle. Next is set healthy boundaries and start practicing self-care. So start saying no to things that are out of the scope of your job. Do not overcompensate for lazy coworkers, and do things outside of work that make you happy. This is a big one. A lot of people feel like they cannot set those boundaries because they're afraid of the repercussions, or going back to being told that they're not a team player, and all this shit that they drill into your head. What was that? It was Severance, when everyone go join our Patreon and listen to our Severance recaps. But there's the line from Rickon's book that's like, you don't need your job needs you. And yes, fundamentally you need your job, like we said, for food, roof over your head, but your job needs you just as much. And especially in today's job market, where it's fucking hard to find people to hire that are quality workers.
Yes.
Your job fucking needs you. So set those boundaries and take care of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also want to focus on do the things outside of work that you enjoy. So for me, it's doing yoga every day. It's crocheting. A lot of the times it's sitting on the couch with the animals, watching Great British Bake Off, things that things that I look forward to that have nothing to do with work. Can be little getaways or whatever. And then the next one is plan your exit strategy. So sometimes the only option you're left with, if you've tried everything else, is to resign, which I know is very scary, right?
Very scary.
Change is hard for everybody. Thinking about, it might be worse in another place, starting at the beginning, all that stuff. It's really, really scary. But if you know you're miserable somewhere, maybe the chance that you go somewhere else and you're not miserable should be the deciding factor,
Yeah, well, there's always, I'm sure everyone's heard it multiple times, that would you rather work in a job where you make good money, but you're miserable every day? Or would you rather work in a job where you made a little less money, but you did what you love? And that's a decision that people have to make. And unfortunately, a lot of people make the former decision.
Yeah. So some things you can do to make that exit a little less scary is pay a little extra money and have your resume done by a professional. Really clean up your resume, because again, in this job market, some of the resumes we get, I'm just like, holy fuck, how and why did this happen?
They got an interview?
Yeah. Having a really nice professional resume will make you stand out from the crowd. Try working with a career coach, or, seek out ways to improve your skill set. And you don't necessarily have to pay for that. I'm sure there are things on YouTube, things on how to do Excel and PowerPoint, and teach yourself how to use different softwares and stuff so you can add those skill sets. And, hop on LinkedIn and start making some connections with people. Post articles, get active, and get your name out there. I'm talking myself up for all of this too. Do the things.
That's good. I mean, that's good.
So that's kind of it for like ways to kind of deal with that. If you think you've formed a trauma bond with your job, maybe consider some of the ways to break that cycle.